Welcome into this episode of Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff with you, and good to have you along. Today we're joined by strength and conditioning coach and amongst other things, Mike Montano. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. So let's get into it. Strength and conditioning this time of year. What do we got going on?
We got a lot of kids in the off season still. Some are about to start preseason scrimmages and stuff like that. So we're about to get our maxes before they start their sports, soccer, baseball, you name it. We got it going on. You know what I mean? Here in a couple weeks. I think February 15th, baseball's got a scrimmage. It might be 15th or 16th. Don't get me wrong. Soccer's 15th, and so we're trying to get all that in before. You know what I mean? And before they get their season going. I told them that. I said, guys, it might be the week before your season goes before we convert, but we're gonna get those numbers. That way when you're working during the end season, we can maintain and maybe gain a little bit, but we're not looking to gain a crazy amount of strength, trying to keep it. And the guys that are in season like basketball and wrestling, they lift right now. I got them lifting 3 days a week, and they're doing mobility stuff 2 days a week. So.
And what about the ones that will transition? So, we have the ones that maybe play the sport, but as a strength and conditioning coach, when they have to transition, let's say from basketball to soccer, how do you work with them?
A lot of it's the same stuff. It's just the workout itself is tailored to the sport. So, they're going to understand that, hey, we're still in season. Might have to work a little harder to get more gains. But we're going to be lifting Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that's the expectation that they're, you know what I mean? They understand that, I think. And, regardless, we already had, we had kids transfer, move from softball into basketball, you know what I mean? And they understand that, and, standard.
When you get your stuff, you set your gains, for instance,
Yeah.
and, it's hard during the season, you're wanting to maintain more. You said maybe a small gain here or there.
Yeah.
But you got formulas you use for that? Like, how do you guys look at it, or is it just looking at the individual and kind of making an assessment?
Well, it's a little bit of both. Not really, it's a lot of observation. Like, if I notice a kid's, moving 135 really slow before he starts or she starts their sport, and then all of a sudden at the end of the year, at the end of their season, they're moving that fast, I know they've made gains in that department. Because, you know what I mean, we use percentages and stuff like that, but not a lot of formulas and stuff like that. But it's just observation and understanding, like seeing the kids, like kids are gonna lose weight, especially like wrestling, for example. Kids are gonna lose weight or cutting weight and stuff like that. But are they keeping their strength? Are they moving the weight that they started with better? You know what I mean? And that's what we look at.
All right. When you look at also, you talk about individualized. I think when you have strength and conditioning coach, it maybe helps with that because, me and you have talked about it before. Used to it was the coaches would take you in there. That's when your strength and conditioning was. You'd have the, let's say 15 kids, 20 kids, and you'd all pretty much do the same workout. It's like, we're going to do this many sets of this many sets of this, and that's kind of how everything worked.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at it, do you try to maybe individualize and say, okay, this kid's legs needs more work. Let's, we're going to do those regular sets of stuff, but we're going to maybe spend a couple of more minutes with that kid on this? Or do you kind of keep it per team kind of the same?
We kind of keep it the same per team. We can do that. Just a lot more time, what I mean? But, for example, like we talked about, I think the last time I was here, workouts individualized, like every sport has a little bit different thing they need. Soccer is different than football, and football is different than basketball and stuff like that. So what they do in their auxiliaries might be a little different, and we might add a little bit here and there. The goal's the same. We want to make you faster. We want to make you stronger. You might get a little bit bigger, but you know what I mean? Just trying to help with that, but it's more individualized towards the teams. Like, for example, wrestling has a lot of grip, so they do a grip circuit probably twice a week, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a full body thing, and same thing with swimming, which Amy, Amy's over that, so it's a lot of full body movement stuff and stuff like that. And basketball, a lot of plyometrics and stuff like that,
Yeah, and when I look at what you guys do, it is, to me, it's always interesting because once again, you go back to the, 20 kids like it was with me.
Yeah.
And, the goal was, let's just get bigger. I mean, that was kind of the goal back in the day. It's like, we want to see your gains where we can physically see them. And I think there's been a kind of a migration away from that where it's like, no, it's not just we want to see that, physique difference. We want to see that difference in your explosiveness, difference in your speed, difference in your conditioning part of it. Because I felt like 30 years ago, that was what it was like. It was like, hey, let's just, are you going to the gym? Wasn't looking at other stuff. It's what do you look like?
Yeah. If the kids are working hard, we measure that, we test everything and we periodically test it. We're not testing every 2 or 3 weeks. We're testing, every 8 weeks and seeing if they gain vertical jump, for example, and stuff like that. But a lot of the kids, you can see it with their, they may not be getting bigger, but their body's changing.
Yeah.
And you can see that with them, you know what I mean? A kid might go from having a gut to not having one, and he stays the same weight.
Yeah.
185, he had a little gut on him, and then he goes from being in 185 with a gut to 185 kind of chiseled, you know what I mean? And we look at that as well, too,
Yeah. And
that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good.
That's something me and Amy say, like, we're going to be able to, like, we're going to be able to tell who's putting in the work.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you shouldn't look the same, and that's something that me and Coach Roller try to get across to our football guys is, like, if you take a picture as a freshman of yourself and you look the same as you did when you're a freshman, when you're a senior, you're probably not doing something right. Regardless if you're playing sports year round, you're probably not doing something right in that aspect of what we're doing.
Yeah, and by the time you're senior, you want to look back on that and say, man, I wish I looked like that the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's kind of the way it works. I want to ask you this because I feel like it doesn't necessarily have to be one sport, but who are the weight room warriors? Like when and Amy, I could ask her this too, and it could be boys, girls, but there's those certain kids that you have that come in and they're just different when it comes to the weight room. They really get it. They want to do it. It's something that they almost take the weight room as a sport itself.
Yeah.
And who are some of the warriors you have in that weight room?
Like names?
Yeah, right now, yeah.
We got some girls that show up all the time. Callie Jo, Emma, those girls like that. They play soccer, and then you got Blair, Roland. Guys, and that's just 3 of them. I can name off a whole bunch. Not trying to leave anybody out.
Well, and the reason I say that is because those are always important because they're the ones that push the other kids.
Yeah, like HD, which, HD Leclerc, he's one of them. Cooper Rowland, Jeremy Evans, Thaden Lee, a lot of youngsters like it a lot of the freshmen. Matthew Bancuzi, some soccer players. Dax Aragi works pretty hard for me. Roman Ward works pretty hard for me, you know what I mean? Tay Akers, basketball freshman,
Yeah.
Girls-wise, like I said, Emma, Callie Jo, and Bree Meyer, she's going to play softball. Varner, there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you said, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
You get together in groups, and you kind of like HD takes over whoever he's with, and he's like, "We're going to do this, and if you don't like it, tough. That's what we're doing." So,
yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Last thing I'll ask for you: do we do any of the powerlifting, anything like that, and do you guys handle any of that in Ponca? Because there's a lot of schools that go and do weightlifting competitions, and do we do any of that here?
No, we don't. We don't do it as a school. We want to get to it. My thing is we want to, and I was a powerlifting guy before I got here. You know what I mean? I was a Region 2 rep over at Salsaw when I was there. My thing is we want to be athletes.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a lot of the stuff that we do in powerlifting, it's not against them. Kids can get hurt, and or they're working with angles that don't go along with that being athletic. You know what I mean? My feet are wider than my hips, and way wider than my hips. My arms are way out wide. Like I don't know. We'll see. I mean, that's something to work towards, I guess. But
Well, it may be one of those days if a kid says, "Hey, I want to do it."
yeah, we'd help them.
You'd help them do it and help them represent and everything.
Yeah.
But
I know Coach Freeman has a group that he does it with,
Yeah.
and, and they come in pretty religiously and do that, and they're hard workers, and they've seen some gains.
And but the focus here isn't on that. The focus here is let's work on what helps you in your sport.
Athleticism,
right.
right.
And for a lot of our kids, multiple sports.
Athleticism, mobility, strength. I mean, speed. We want it all. You get too muscle bound, you can't get it all. So,
Yeah.
And it's not even about being too muscle bound. It's what I mean. It's just, if they did cleans in the state, you know what I mean, like all the other states around, like Florida does bench press, squat, and cleans. We'd hop right in because we're all about it, like cleaning. But they do heavy straight bar deadlift, and that's hard on you. You might blow your back out and if you're not taught how to do it right.
Right.
And that's the deal is it's really hard to teach them how to do it right. It's really hard to teach them how to do it right and then keep doing it right. You know what I mean? They're eventually going to slip up on something.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to stay away from.
Well, it comes down to you probably have stories like this when you grew up as well, but you'd show back up for football and the kid that was in the weight room all year didn't really couldn't go up against the kid that was in the hayfield all year. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just the muscle, that kid was doing stuff, staying active, working on athlete, where the other guy was worried about, hey, let's just get buff. And, there's a difference. You want to kind of combine both.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, and I feel like we do a lot of that in our program that we do. Just building, like I said, full body strength and, we want to get faster and we want to get stronger and we want to get bigger. But, at the end of the day, we're here to be athletes. Like we're not trying to take away from your sport that you're playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you want to be more athletic as a kid, haul hay.
You're not lying.
Hey, really appreciate it, Coach, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, sir.
Mike Montano from Strength and Conditioning, and like I said, helping out a whole array of sports. And when we talk to him next time, we'll probably talk a little bit more football as well. I want to say thanks to Chris behind the camera. That's going to do it for today's Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff saying so long, and until next time, go Cats.